Hello, my name is Stirp and I am a coffee addict. I recently stopped drinking coffee and I was drinking about 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day for the past 6 years. I sincerely love coffee and sugar. I am addicted to both. Yes. Coffee with cream, coffee and sugar, French roast coffee, Italian roast coffee, black coffee, coffee with a dash of milk, a cappuccino, a latte. I did not actually plan to stop drinking coffee. It initially started because I was trying to cut down the amount of sugar that I was having. I was placing about 2 tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons of sugar in each cup of coffee. And that also includes creamer as well, which has a ton of sugar. So I started telling myself, okay, I need to relax on the sugar. This cannot be good for me. I was feeling really fatigued and also my anxiety was coming back in an extreme way. I started researching a little bit about my fatigue and about anxiety. So I decided to cut sugar out to help the fatigue. Some alternatives, because I love my coffee sweet, some alternatives are things like stevia, which is a natural sweetener. It's a bit different than Splenda and those kinds of sweeteners. This is better, so I switched over to stevia. It comes in a powder form and a liquid form. It took me a week to get used to the taste. It does not taste like sugar. It is a little bit of a shock, but I stuck with it, and now I'm using stevia liquid and powder for my decaf tea. So when I stopped with the sugar, I started drinking my coffee also without creamer, and I added the stevia in it. So it was just black coffee with a little bit of stevia. It was still tasty, and then one day I thought, well, if I could stop the sugar, why don't I just cut off coffee? I also read that caffeine can make anxiety worse. So if you have anxiety, if you're a person who deals with that, I'm sure that you know this. Caffeine is only going to make that whole situation worse for you, and it's best to try to cut that out because it's going to help you take control of your anxiety when you need to. For me, the caffeine was just making my mind run a million times faster than it needed to, which fed that anxiety and that worry that anxious people get. So what happened when I stopped drinking coffee? I love coffee. I love it. I fantasize about it. You know you're a coffee addict when you are thinking about cups of coffee throughout your day and you actually want to go get some and you have to stop yourself and talk yourself through it and tell yourself, I don't need that cup of coffee. I can have water instead. I actually stopped drinking coffee immediately. I didn't try to slowly stop. I just cut myself off one day. And haven't had coffee in the last couple of months. I did have a relapse. We'll talk about that in a bit. When I stopped drinking coffee, that first week I looked like hell. I looked like a semi ran over my face 7 times. It wasn't fun. I did feel pretty bad those first few days, but if you can actually get through that, then it's totally worth it. And this is coming from a coffee lover. I still fantasize about coffee every day. Today I fantasized about it. I want to drive, I want to get some, I want to smell it, I want to taste it. After those first initial days of it making me feel horrible, my fatigue went down so much. I was having trouble all the time, every day, being super tired in the middle of the day in the afternoon. I am not feeling that way anymore. Yawning might sound funny, but when I was drinking coffee, I was yawning like 50 times a day. And my eyeliner would get, when you yawn, your eyes get all watery. My eyeliner would just slowly come off. My makeup would look horrible at the end of the day because I was yawning so much. I probably yawn twice now in my day now that I've stopped drinking coffee. So if you want your makeup to last longer, you should stop drinking coffee. And most importantly, I have more control over my anxiety. I get less anxiety attacks, and a lot of it is the caffeine. I don't have all this caffeine in my system that's amping up all of these crazy thoughts in my mind or worry. So I'm not as anxious, plain and simple. And to me, that is worth it. If it's going to help my anxiety, that is going to be it for me. So I'm glad that I stopped drinking coffee. I have tea, so I do like that whole ritual, right? That's the whole thing, I think, with addiction. Oftentimes it's a habitual thing, a ritualistic thing. So getting coffee ready every morning, having that warm cup in my hand, smelling it, seeing the steam rise off of it was all part of it. So now I've just switched over to tea. I tried herbal tea, not a fan. Herbal tea has 0 caffeine, just none at all. And I'm just not a fan of it. The sweetness of it is too much. Although I like sweetness, this is not the kind of sweetness that I like. So I tried herbal tea for a week. I forced myself to drink that stuff and I'm done. So what I've been drinking is I found this decaf Earl Grey tea. Earl Grey tea, for the most part, usually is caffeinated, but I found a decaf version. So pretty amazing. I found that at Safeway. And even if you drink black tea or green tea, those are the highest caffeinated teas, they still don't have as much as coffee. It's about half of that, and it continues to go down on the scale. Once I stopped drinking coffee, I noticed that I started to wake up easier in the morning. I am not a morning person by any means. It's always been difficult for me to wake up in the morning, and seems kind of strange, but once I quit drinking coffee, when I wake up in the morning, once I'm up, I'm totally alert and awake. I am not super tired and like dragging along. I am awake, and that is pretty awesome. So you can definitely become a morning person without the coffee, and it's helped me become more of a morning person now that I've quit drinking coffee. If you want to quit drinking coffee, it is totally possible. I drank coffee for 6 years straight, every single day, multiple cups a day. I was that person having a cup of coffee at 5 p.m. and it wouldn't keep me awake all night long. I could have coffee and go to sleep. If you're that person and you are wanting a change of lifestyle and you want to quit drinking coffee for whatever reason, you can totally do it. It is possible. It's not easy. I told you I had a relapse, and I did a week ago. I was craving it so much, and I didn't have tea. I ran out of that Earl Grey decaf tea. So I actually had instant coffee in my house, and I had a cup of that, and I regretted it. I did. Once my day started to progress after having that cup of coffee, I remembered why I stopped. My anxiety crept in a little bit that day, a little more than usual, and I was feeling fatigued. I was yawning a bunch, and I realized, okay, this is why I quit drinking coffee, and I know that I shouldn't go back to it. So it is totally possible. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Are you a person who has also stopped drinking coffee? What are some things that have happened since then? Do you like it? Have you gone back to it? Thank you. I appreciate all of you so much, and I will see you soon.